Ross is having a temper tantrum because a movie was coming out on Remy Ma's network that was going to inadvertently expose this secret he's been lying about for years.
Oh
And I
shit.
don't know why he's been lying about this. Nobody knows. Rick Ross found out there was a movie coming out on Remy Ma's network called The Biggest Boss. And it was about this correctional officer who was like this dirty cop who turned rapper. Now, that story sounded really familiar because that's awfully similar to Rick Ross' life story.
Oh,
So Rick
God.
Ross sent a cease and desist to Remy Ma's network not to put out that particular movie. His reasoning
What
for
the
the cease
hell?
and desist was he believes that the movie is infringing on his name and likeness. But honestly, I think the real reason is Rick Ross understands that if that movie comes out, if it takes steam, it's gonna have a lot of questions about his past for the new generation or people who forgot about this story. Because Rick Ross has been pretty inconsistent when telling
I
this
don't get
story
it, man.
and has lied a lot about exactly like what his work was as a correctional officer or how long he did it and why he did it or him even doing it at all. So because Rick Ross has been pretty inconsistent and has lied a lot about his past as a correctional officer, this movie coming out would expose him badly. So now he's having a temper tantrum, trying to get the movie shut down before it comes out. After Rick Ross sent the cease and desist, we find out that is Remy Ma's network, but she's not really involved in the creation of the movies. It's kind of like you create your movie, you bring it to her, she give you like a deal for the movie. So the deal was created by third party. I think Break Baby is also in the movie, if I'm not mistaken. So the article reads, Rick Ross, like he respects the hustle, but he's saying Remy Ma has gone too far. The Biggest Boss is going after Remy and her network for a movie that he says rips off his name and likeness and his music. Remy is apparently planning to release the film called Biggest Boss on her platform, the Remy Network. Now, according to a letter sent by Rick Ross attorneys and obtained by TMZ, Rick Ross is claiming the project features the unauthorized use of his music and trade name and demanding they halt the project from going forward. Not only that, Rick Ross says it's confusing fans into thinking he has something to do with the movie, citing comments on social media. Now, a rep for Remy Ma tells TMZ Remy was personally unaware of the concerns raised regarding Rick Ross and takes the matter seriously. She has maintained a personal and professional relationship with Rick Ross for more than 20 years and would never intentionally engage in any action that could harm him, his brand, or cause offense. Now, the film is apparently about a police officer who steals a drug dealer's life story and turns it into a rap career. Very similar to Rick Ross' own, backstory, which I
God.
said earlier, of being a correctional officer turned rapper. Now, apparently, like Remy Ma's rep is saying that Remy Ma has reached out to Rick Ross directly, and upon being made aware of the issue, the title was immediately removed from the platform. The Remy Network is now closely working with its partners to strengthen review processes and ensure that situations like this do not occur moving forward. But here's the problem, though. Remy Ma, she only removed the title. The
Right.
movie itself is still going forward.
Okay.
Now, the title The Biggest Boss is not on it, but, I mean, anybody can use their brain and say, this sounds awfully similar to the Rick Ross life story.
Rick Ross.
And I can almost guarantee Rick Ross is still not going to be happy. He's still going to do whatever he can to make sure that this project is halted completely because he doesn't want to get exposed. See, Rick Ross for years have been telling inconsistency in regards to his career as a correctional officer. When Rick Ross was recently asked by the Full Send podcast, Rick Ross says that he only worked as a correctional officer for 4 months and he never really made it past the training stage. He never really made it to the prison.
By the way, too, you worked. I don't know if you want to talk about it all because
It's too easy.
this is your room.
I can't wait.
So were you a correctional officer at one point?
I was, yeah.
So going all the way back. When was that? How long ago?
Maybe when I was 20.
20 years old.
Yeah.
What kind of people were in there?
I didn't really get to make it to the prison because you got to go through training and all that, and I didn't last long.
Right.
I may have last 4 months
Right.
before they said,
Yeah.
I was a little tardy.
What made you want to do that?
One of my big homies had just got in trouble, and a lot of things were going on, and he just suggested it.
You
And
fuck
I-
with it or no?
I didn't. anything you got to really do, and you fucking running and jogging and
Yeah.
all of that shit, man. I missed a few days.
What was your paycheck a week then?
It was horrendous.
How much?
It's like $25K a year, I saw, right?
No, some shit like $500 every 2 weeks.
$500 every
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
How long does it take?
They
to
was
make-
trying to tell, they wanted me to do right, man. They said they seen greatness in me.
Yeah.
They wanted me to be great, man. And they actually had two choices for me, a fireman or
But Rick Ross always coming with that motivational talk in their voice. He be killing me with this shit. They wanted me to be great.
correction.
Imagine Rick Ross, you're in a fire and Rick Ross comes and saves you.
You'll probably burn like a...
Yeah, he's saving your ass. He's getting your girl,
I love
leaving
that.
you.
No, it's just always, it's just sometimes you
Rick Ross saves a cat out of the tree,
No,
just
I'm
climbs up
going to be
there.
Hold on.
honest. Summer wouldn't have anything to worry about.
She wouldn't. Well, guess what? We keep it. We have a lot of fire alarms in our apartment, and we're very protective there. We make sure no fires happen in that apartment. So
What apartment
you take your
building
ladder.
is it?
You can take your ladder and
What-
you can
what
take it down
apartment
to Egypt's house and go over there. if you
No,
want.
because that was a nice apartment. What apartment building was it?
Everything Rick Ross just said right here was a lie. And
Damn.
how we know this? Well, 1090 Jake proved it. So Rick Ross said he was only a correctional officer for about 4 months. He never really went to no jails or prisons. Well, maybe county jail. But he never really went to prison or the big boy prison. He didn't really operate in his official duties as a correctional officer. He was never engaged in no snitching or police activity. But 1090 Jake did a video where he broke down, not only is the 4-month story not true, much of what Rick Ross has to say about his time as a correctional officer is not true.
In new news, back in 2008, pictures would be released of Ross in uniform, and he'd speak exclusively with All Hip Hop, stating, "My life is 100% real. These online hackers putting a picture of my face when I was a teenager in high school on other people's body. If this shit was real, don't you think they would have more specifics, like dates and everything?" So a then 32-year-old Ross claimed the pic was photoshopped, his kingpin lifestyle was real, and there was no proof behind the CO allegations. Well, a media website by the name of The Smoking Gun would send in a public records request receiving 86 pages from the Florida Department of Corrections about Officer Ricky's short career. A photo of
86
William
pages.
Roberts, aka Rick Ross's State of Florida application, would state he received his diploma from Miami Carroll City High and went on to Albany State University to study criminal justice. On his supplementary application, he'd state his nickname was Big East and denied knowing anyone in prison, along with never working in prison or in law enforcement. Now, with every new recruit, the Department of Corrections wants to know how willing you are to complete your correctional duties. Ross would check off he's willing to work rotating shifts, carry a firearm, and work with violent inmates, homosexuals, etc. He'd also state he's willing to shoot an inmate who's attempting to escape, body search a male or female
God
inmate,
damn.
and write an incident report. In 1995, Ross would take an oath of loyalty to support the Constitution and would receive a letter stating he's now officially a correctional officer trainee at the South Florida Reception Center. 5 months later, it was now 1996, and Ross would receive an award for completing 540 hours of basic training. Ross was now an official corrections officer and can be seen taking a picture at his graduation ceremony. 4 months later, he'd receive a certificate of appreciation for perfect attendance from the same woman he can be seen shaking hands with at his ceremony. But eventually, all good things must come to an end. And in June of 1997, Ricky Rose sent in a resignation letter and officially left the force. But like I said, this isn't new news. This came out back in 2008, and 50 Cent started calling Ross Officer Ricky in 2009. That same year, Rick Ross would admit to XXL it was in fact him in the pictures. He'd state, "Me not answering or addressing that situation has nothing to do with my career. I've accomplished enough and I've made enough money for me to be good. Yes, it was me in those pictures, but I'ma tell you this. Me taking that job, I was doing my job. You understand what I mean? He continued on saying the stuff he talks about is real, the dope is real, and the gun talk is official. But fans would forever speculate, when exactly was Rick Ross in the streets serving bricks? In an interview with the Full Send podcast, the alleged Kingpin was asked about his time as a corrections officer in Florida State Prison.
You now obviously know the lie that Rick Ross told. He told them folks he was only there for 4 months, when in fact he was there for 18 months. If you look at the timeline, even receiving an award for perfect attendance.
18 months is crazy.
That's the thing, right? I think Rick Ross is going above and beyond to try to stop this because for some reason, man, he has this weird thing with his past as a correctional officer when I don't understand why. Bro, you were gainfully employed, right? You was not a police officer per se. Now you do have to swear to protect the Constitution. So you know, like you are somewhat of an officer, but who cares? Right? Like who cares? Now, do I believe like the Rick Ross story of selling dope? I don't. Like Rick Ross was in high school, he went to college, and then he started working as a correctional officer. At what point in between that time did Rick Ross have time to sell drugs? And then he became a famous rapper shortly afterwards. So no, I don't buy like the drug dealing tale. And obviously we now know that he stole the name from the real Kingpin Rick Ross, right? That's just a fact. Yeah, but like Rick Ross feeling like he has to hide being a correctional officer to me is stupid. Only in our community would somebody feel like having a job like that where he's gainfully employed, he got benefits, he's making hella money. Only in our community will we feel like that right there is something to be ashamed of. I don't understand it, not one bit, right? Especially because like if we don't have any type of, okay, for example, right, bro, if Rick Ross don't have any type of snitching accusations in his past, if nobody has been accusing Rick Ross of telling on them, of putting them in prison, or putting them in jail, then why would being a correctional officer be something where it's like, yo, we are laughing at you or it's something to be ashamed of? It's not.
Exactly.
At all. There's a lot more things to be ashamed of than being a correctional officer. Trust me. Trust me, man. Now, I don't know if Remy Ma is going to stop the movie from coming out completely, but I don't think Rick Ross is satisfied with just the name being changed. That's just a fact, okay? But let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think? Do y'all believe Rick Ross when he says he's only been a correctional officer for 4 months? Do y'all believe that Rick Ross is filing this cease and desist, not because of name and likeness, but because he don't want the story to come out to expose him? Let me know in the comment section, okay? And if you're still watching this video and you want to...
Man, my thing is this right here. When you get out here being a rapper, then you faking a lifestyle that you didn't live, that's when your past or your background become a problem. Like, if he would have came out and been admitted that shit, own that shit, he wouldn't even have no problems right now to this day, like, because everybody will already know, so it'd be nothing to talk about. But you want to come out here and take somebody else's name, talk about a fake lifestyle that you was living and all that type of shit, that's when it become a problem. So hey, own up to it, man. You old as hell now, you know what I'm saying? So let that shit ride, so you won't have to worry about that shit no more. Now you trying to send cease and desist to people because they talking about correctional officer became a rapper and all that. That's crazy, Rick Ross. Come on, man. I was rocking with you now, but you tripping now for real. Drop y'all thoughts in the comments and let me know what y'all think about this situation. I'm out of here.